Hello and welcome to the Arn and Eddie experience. My name is Eddie Cyburns. Joining me, as always, is Arn Furious, and it's the last day of the season. The
I am
football
I am no
is
longer
over.
relegated.
Yes, Arn is no longer relegated after his team's efforts on Wednesday or Thursday night.
It's Thursday night,
Um,
and
Thursday
thank
night.
God we won that game because we got absolutely scunnered today.
Yes, yes, you did, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit of detail as we carry on. But that's it, though. The football, other than one game in Europe between Real Madrid and Liverpool, that's the football pretty much over. Um, so yeah, we are going to focus obviously on the last day of the Premier League. We'll talk about the ups, the downs, and what games we watched and how it all went. Arn, how was your experience of final Sunday?
Well, I went to the pub. I don't usually watch football down the pub, but my mate Cox, he basically dropped me a message a few days ago saying like, "Oh, do you want to watch the final day of the season down the pub?" I was like, "Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, why not?" That's why we're recording this at 9 o'clock at night, as opposed to whenever the game finished, like 6. um, because I had to walk home from the pub and then just sort of have a bit of a nap and some food. And all of a sudden, like 3 hours had gone. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good apart from I was sat sort of, my mate is on the one side, and on the other side of me is like Liverpool super fan who was telling me that it was at Hillsborough. He got like a Liverpool jacket on. His face beat red from screaming about Mo Salah for and how Manx are terrible for the whole game. It was
Mm,
exhausting. It was absolutely exhausting.
yeah, and I mean, as I said, Salah came on. He had that injury, but he came on at the end, and we ended up with Manchester City winning the Premier League, Liverpool finishing second, Chelsea finishing in third, and well, kind of almost expected after Arsenal had blown it, Tottenham finishing in fourth. So the game that you majorly watched in the pub, because I think you said they were on two TVs. What was the main one that
Yeah.
you watched?
So the TV right in front of me had the Liverpool game on. So I was watching that, but also the other side of the bar was the Man City Villa game, but that was pretty crowded. I live in the Midlands, so everyone supports Villa or Liverpool.
Mm.
So yeah, there was just a load of Liverpool, a load of Villa supporters packed around the other TV, kind of cheering their boys on, and I was stuck with Liverpool super fan watching the other game, which it felt like it was the right choice until sort of near the end when it just didn't matter anymore. But Wolves scoring that goal in like the third minute, I burst out laughing. I laughed so hard.
It,
It was just a long ball over the top, and Konate's just watching it and backtracking, and it's like, oh, that's over me, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net, which it was beautiful, great start.
yeah. And
Showed
they
that
they held well. They held on for quite a bit, and then Liverpool got back into it, and then the crowd were really
good,
from what.
really good goal by Mane. A cheeky little back heel from Thiago and a really good finish at the near post. So they were good money for it. Liverpool, they were by far the better team. As they and Man City have been the whole season. It's been a 2-horse race really for the league title, and
Yeah.
it does irritate me to say it, but Liverpool have been terrific this season. They've been really good value for a title race, albeit not a title win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm sure those players will look back at that. I think a lot of Manchester United fans were quite relieved that their treble in 1998, 1999 was not touched. But yeah,
They could still win a treble. It'd just be a treble of cups.
it just wouldn't be the
They,
just wouldn't be the
they got
ones they want though.
they got 92 points as well, which is ridiculous. They only lost 2 games.
Yeah.
That's insane. See, like you do that in any other league in Europe, and that's easily a title. Easily,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And City had a better goal difference as well, but Liverpool scored 94 goals. It's insane.
It's one of those ones where it's like when you look at that, like as I said, it was just tiny hiccups that Liverpool had that cost them this more than anything. It was, by the finest of margins, really. And I said, Man City didn't make it easy for themselves, as we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, Liverpool just, I don't know, they just did, I think they were saying, Luis Diaz has been a great signing for them.
Yeah, he certainly has. Liverpool's problem is they left themselves with like way too much to do from the new year. They've been unplayable for huge swathes of the second half of the season, like since Christmas, basically. But if you go back to like the start of the season, they were just dropping sloppy points.
Yep.
They lost to West Ham. They drew at home to Brighton.
Yeah.
They dropped some 3-3 with Brentford. Do you remember that one?
Oh God, yeah.
Maybe not. But yeah, they dropped the points there. And in this league, you can't drop points because look at what Man City did, which was just, they're robots. They're
It's just
footballing robots.
Yeah, it's when you have a team that has the money that they can spend and has the amount of like the quality that they have. You can't slip up.
Yeah.
Drawing against Tottenham, in May, didn't help anything.
Yeah, I mean they would have won the league if they'd have won that game. They'd have won the league.
Yeah.
So that's how fine the margins were here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look, the draw with there's just the draw with Chelsea and in January, as you said, they've just the tiny things that have happened have just kind of hit back at them, and
It
that's
is
what's caused.
ridiculous, though. Eddie. You look at the two of them at the end of the season to finish on 93 and 92 points. It's just they're just so far above everything else, and I could argue that those two teams are by far and away better than any other team in Europe at the moment. And Real Madrid being in the Champions League final, I think, is due to good fortune more than anything else because Man City played them off the park for 2 games. So yeah, it's a strong league, but those are the two strongest teams in it by some distance.
I mean, if you look at last season, Man City ran away with it, and it was by quite a number of points. The last time that we
Yeah,
had
it was a lot easier
such a
for them last year. Liverpool
yeah
pushed them again.
Yeah, last time we had such a tight kind of Premier League was in 2018, 2019, and it was
The
98
Vincent
points and
Company goal.
98 points and 97 points.
Yeah,
You know,
insane stuff.
so, yep, obviously Liverpool will now move on to prepare for their final against Real Madrid. As a, I'm kind of, there's part of me that thinks that Liverpool will win the Champions League again. I don't know. This Real side is not. It's had its ups and downs. If if we look at it in depth, which we will probably a bit before we finish up, but yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. Aston Villa versus Manchester City.
Yeah. So that was going
Let's talk about
on
that.
the other TV. So Villa raced into a 2-goal lead, which gave Liverpool a lot of hope, a lot of optimism. But Liverpool was stuck at 1-1, couldn't really find the decisive goal. If it was scripted, Liverpool would have scored first, then City would have made the comeback, and it would have been it would have been like 92nd minute for the winner or something like that. If it was scripted, that was what would happen. It feels like it was close to being scripted based on what happened because it was like City going 2 goals down and coming back to win, Liverpool going behind as well. It's crazy. It's football. Love it.
It looked like Stevie G and because and Coutinho had decided to work extra hard to get that win for their other team, but yeah, as said, Man City at points looked very just just very boring. They didn't get going. Um, they were kind of struggling to break down Villa at certain points, and then they bring on Gundogan, and everything kind of changes. And
That's the thing about them top teams, though. They've got so many great players that they can bring on that can change games. Like it's not just one or two. They've got 5 or 6 players they can bring on that can change a game. And same with Liverpool and Chelsea as well. It's like the level of depth that they've got in those squads is just different. Which is why I don't like the 5 substitute rule they're going to try and force back in. It favours the bigger teams because they've got more players that they can just bring in and change the game.
And I think they were bringing up in commentary, they were bringing up like the substitutions and kind of always he kind of made a mistake here with these subs. But Gundogan comes on, it's like what? They've scored and it's like 18 to 20 minutes left of play. And Man City just turn around. They get the 3 goals.
I was following it on stats, and it looked like they were having a lot of chances and a lot of the ball. Villa, when they scored the first goal, they'd only had 1 shot.
I think it was very much a struggle for them to break Villa down. And I don't think Villa kind of at certain points they could strike and they could strike quick because they have those players who can do so.
Well, they had Ollie Watkins was through on goal at 1-0.
He was through twice.
I didn't see the second one, but I saw the first one where he was clean through on goal and he was onside because he was inside his own half, and he probably should have at least hit the target. So it could have been much worse for City.
And if you don't bury your chances, look at what happened. They went 2-0 down to West Ham, and then they came back and drew 2-2. Now they've gone and done one better, went 2-0 down and come back and won 3-2. It's a quality match.
For them to give up those goals, like right at the end of the season, you look at the course of the season, they've only conceded 26 goals, like over the whole season. It's weird that they've suddenly developed a bit of a soft centre, as it were, towards the end there, where they've shipped 2 against West Ham and then 2 here against Villa. It doesn't seem right.
It seems like when Man City concede, it is very difficult for them to get back into the game or get their heads back into the game. This and the West Ham have because they go 1-0 up against Real Madrid. Then Real Madrid score another. And then they score another and bring it into extra time.
Yeah, after that equaliser, their heads went. They weren't even playing. It was just they were just watching. They were watching what was happening. It was just going wrong all around, and nobody was taking charge and doing something.
If they go into the second half, if they go into half time down and losing, it seems like their heads come back up very quickly because obviously Guardiola has the time to manage them and do that. Hence why you saw that against when they were against West Ham. For some, they went 2-0 down here without the prospect of having to go in a half time and chat it over, and they bring on, as I said, they put in Gundogan, and he makes the difference. 76th minute he scores, 78th minute Rodri scores, 81st minute Gundogan picks up again. Villa just had no response.
Yeah, they're good goals. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on the box. So, and when you've got the kind of balls coming into the box that you can get from De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling put a great cross in for the first goal. When you've got that kind of delivery, it's like it's almost begging to be put in the net. So, yeah.
And I mean, look at the players that they left. They left Grealish on the bench. They didn't do anything
I can understand that though, because Grealish, I feel like he'd have gone to his head. They had to play Villa on the last day, and they had to win. I could have seen him getting sent off quite easily. So I think he's man managed that well by just leaving him out. I also wouldn't have put it back bringing him on with like 10 minutes left and him scoring a winner as well. So it's just one of them things.
Yeah, I mean, Fernandinho being taken off and replaced by Zinchenko and then Bernardo Silva being replaced by Gundogan. Again, I think that is quite possibly one of the best substitutions I think I've seen. Well, but it clearly paid off because he was involved in everything by that point. And then I think Fernandinho is quite a slow player, so to have someone kind of heap up the pressure on Villa, and then Villa finally did break, and then once Villa broke the first time, you kind of could tell that they were open to being conceded on again, and obviously then Man City have went on to win. Unfortunately, there's been scenes after it. Obviously, again, another pitch invasion. Robin Olsen, the Villa goalkeeper, because Martinez was not playing, was attacked as he was trying to get off the field. So, more bad scenes. More bad scenes and more causing of hassle.
Oh, I'm not going to go and say, it's wrong for them to go onto the pitch, because I don't really agree with that. I think if you win something, you celebrate. But at the same time, it's like, why are you going after them players? Like, what's Robin Olsen ever done to Man City? It's like when the Everton lad was going after Patrick Vieira. I'm like, well, why?
Yeah.
Won the game.
And then
let him walk off.
And then the thing is, Vieira gets scolded for kind of, in essence, you look at it for good reason, because he shouldn't be attacking someone. But then you look at the other side of it, this guy's getting right in his face and kind of being quite, the man's just lost a game of football. I get your team have stayed up, absolutely, but it's just there's no way to do that. There's no need to do that. Pitch invasions are because of Scotland and things have happened with pitch invasions in terms of the Hibs Rangers pitch invasion that happened in the Scottish Cup. To a good degree, yes, I understand the passion and stuff like that. I do think, though, there needs to be a lot more control about what happens. Whether that's something that'll change, we don't know. But
I think the problem with the pitch invasion is if like 10,000 people are running onto the pitch, you can't steward that. You can't police it. Like, how do you do that? You'd have to get like thousands of police officers into the ground. It's just not practical.
Either that, or you change the what's the setup and grounds in terms of like.
See, I don't want to go back to the days when we had fences around the grounds. The perimeter fences, it's treating people like animals, putting them in a cage.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm just saying there needs to be some kind of conversation around it.
Yeah, I think if teams are forewarned that a pitch invasion. I don't even disagree with the pitch invasion, though. I think it's all right. What I would disagree with is if somebody like attacks a player, then the club should be punished for it. And if the fans know the club's going to get punished for it, then it's not going to happen.
Get the players immediately off the pitch as soon as the game is over. They can celebrate. Don't get me wrong; they can absolutely celebrate once. Obviously, the pitch invasion is clear.
They're going to come running on at the final whistle, aren't they? So, and it's not like the players are going to be like at the final whistle. They're not going to be over by the touchline, ready to get like, let's get back in the dressing room. Like.
No,
it doesn't work. So I understand what you're saying, but like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the solution is.
Listen, and again, we're not the people in charge of that. Thankfully, we're just two guys who do a podcast. So yes, Man City lifted the Premier League title. Final games for Fernandinho, since he's off.
It's a decent way to go out.
Yeah, decent way. In terms of Aston Villa, that team for next season, they bring in a couple more players. Not many, but just a couple. I think they're.
Yeah, I thought their recruitment was really good last year, and it hasn't really panned out. And I don't think anyone was expecting Danny Ings to fall off like he has done. Like, he's not had a good season at all. He looks like his legs have gone, which I wasn't expecting that. I'm sure they weren't. Emi Buendia's not had a good season, so that they brought a lot of good players in who just didn't. But who's the winger they signed? They signed a winger as well, and he's been injured half the season.
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey, yeah, he's been injured a lot.
Mm.
So the Villa brought 3 players in and basically got nothing out of it. I think Gerrard's going to want to put his own mark on the team, so he's going to want to bring his players in to suit him. I'm sure he wants Coutinho full time, and I think that is happening. That's not a bad way to start.
Who would you say their player of the year has been?
Villa? Yeah. Probably Emi Martinez.
I'd say
they finished quite high up the league, which I don't feel like their players has necessarily merited that.
I would say Coutinho. He's not played many games, but he's been very impactful in the time he's been there. 19 appearances, 3 as a sub, 5 goals. Started really well in that game against Man United. Just been playing, just been really well. And obviously now they've gone on they've signed him in permanently. So,
Luca Dean's done really well since he came in from Everton as well. But then we knew he was a good footballer. I still have no idea why Everton sold him, other than beef with Benitez.
Yeah,
we've already done that one.
Yeah, we've already done that one. So yes, Villa versus Man City happened at the bottom of the table. We were both correct at the beginning of the season. Burnley have gone down.
Yeah, I feel a little bit for them because they've had like a certain style of football. And I'm not saying they've got found out this year, but it's been hard. Like the division has gotten harder and they've stayed at the same level. So look at the teams that they've been finishing above. Newcastle have got a ton of money. Brighton have improved this season. Brentford have come up. They've been great. Palace have improved this season. Villa's improved. So all the teams that they were finishing around and above have all gotten better, and Burnley have stayed the same.
I think
the signing.
Yeah, I think getting rid of Dyche. I think we discussed this. They got rid of Dyche way too late. They shouldn't even have got rid of him at all. To be fair, at that point,
it was one way or the other. Either you keep him till the end of the season, and you change then, knowing you're probably going to go down anyway, and they haven't even replaced him. They've just got rid of him, or have last season be like his well done, congratulations, and have a mutual consent and have him go then and let somebody else take a full season run at it. Because the result has been that they've crumbled this year, even though I think they've done okay in the transfer market. They've brought a couple of foreign players in, which is Sean Dyche bringing in foreigners is a bit weird. But they like I said, the level has gone up and they've stayed the same.
Mr. Brexit going into Europe to pick up some players. I mean, if you look,
I'm sure he'll catch on somewhere. Sean, he'll get another job.
I mean, their team is going to be quite heavily gutted when you look at this. When you look at this team this year, the team they had, I wouldn't be surprised if Cornet leaves. I would not be surprised if Weghorst leaves. I think if you look at it, Nick Pope has kept them in numerous amount of games this year.
Of the 3 teams that went down, they are by far the best of those 3.
Well,
you could put an argument in that if they kept the team in place, they would be in the running for the title next year in the Championship. Because there is that argument. Because in the Championship, there's a lot of very samey level teams, and you can see it clear as day from last season with Fulham and Bournemouth going down and coming straight back up. And even Sheffield United, who completely fell apart and were absolutely useless. They were right down the bottom of the Championship, and they've come back. They've come back to like a playoff level, and there's no way they should have been there. They shouldn't have been there
Yeah.
at all. Because let's face it, they were absolutely useless from the point where they went down to, I don't know, November.
Mm.
Completely useless. And yet
When,
here they are in the
when
playoffs at the end of the season. They almost edged out Forest. So
yeah, when you get the way I look at it, when you get 25 million for Chris Wood in January, and you only spend what seems like 12 million of that on Weghorst, there's got to be another player you can get in with that at the same time. I think it's they have a squad that is a lot of them have had Premier League experience, some of them have not. Aaron Lennon, Ashley Westwood, Jay Rodriguez, Ashley Barnes, of course. They do have quality players. It's just they've not. They've, as I said, they've either they've maybe been in it too long, and they've maybe had too many poor results. Losing to Leeds and then losing to Man United, and then going on like a run of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games where they either lost or drew. Yeah, it's just not good enough. And then obviously, they've randomly had wins, but they had the Spur where they won against the Spurs in February, and then it's just as people were saying, Leeds had like a 9-point lead over the team that were in that position, and then just suddenly it's curtailed and went downhill.
yeah, Burnley they had a bit of a run after Deutsch went. They had that new manager pop, and they went and won like 3 games in a row, and I was like, oh, they might actually get out of this.
Yeah.
And then last 4 games they've got 1 point.
Yeah.
And I think they were lucky to get that. So.
Yeah, and I mean Ashley Barnes was going on about how the refs were dying to get them relegated, and it's just like, shut up, pal.
No, I'm not. I just don't think they were good enough this season. This is coming
No.
from me. I like Burnley. I went to Turf Moor early in the season. I had a great time. I think it's a fantastic ground. But you look at the team and you look at the other squads in this league, and they're just not anywhere near some of them. I mean, the 2 teams that they were fighting with for the final place, Leeds and Everton, both had massive injury problems this season. Leeds probably worse than Everton. They both had huge injury problems. And then you've got Southampton just above them. Their form went completely into the toilet, but they were safe. They were never dragged into that into the relegation battle. It just wasn't happening. So the bottom 3, for me, quite a way adrift of all the other squads in this league. And you look at Brentford. Brentford could have wobbled and gone down there, but they strengthened in January. They improved their squad in January, and that's why they're comfortably mid-table.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? So obviously the rumor is Tarkowski's away to Newcastle.
Yeah, there was a rumor that was going to happen in January, but I guess.
Yeah. Do you expect many of their players to get picked off?
Well, no, because they haven't got many good players.
Nick Pope. Be a good back.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to be. I mean, I think Nick Pope needs to probably stay in the Premier League if he wants to keep his chances of being in the England kind of lineup or squad.
Yeah, he's certainly on the fringes of that.
I said Weghorst, I think, will probably stay. Cornet needs to go.
I think if Cornet and Weghorst left, it wouldn't really be much of a problem to replace them. I don't think they've really done very much for Burnley.
I mean, Cornet has. I mean, Cornet is their top goal scorer this season with 9 goals. I mean, when you look at their attackers, though, it's like Weghorst has scored 2. Ashley Barnes has scored 1 all season.
Yeah.
And Cornet has actually looked like a bright spark of this team. So yeah, I mean, they're down, and you kind of knew they were down as soon as they had that spell against Tottenham.
I mean, even though you said that they were doomed from a while ago, but like it's taken till last day for them to finally go, and they fought Leeds hard for that final spot, and Everton were bricking it until Thursday.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it's been tough for them.
I mean, Dyche being sacked in April on the 15th, I could kind of see in my head. Yes, they did have the good manager bounce after that, but I personally, I just knew they were it wasn't going to go well.
Yeah, when you
Um,
sack your manager that late in the season, I don't think there's any chance really.
and I said Newcastle got off to a hot start, penalty. Callum Wilson scored, then another Callum Wilson goal.
It was a stupid penalty as well.
Yeah,
He's
Nathan
lifted his
Collins.
hands up here like this, punched the ball off the guy's head.
Yeah,
What do you think's going to happen there?
yeah. It was like it. It looked so silly. It was, it was always going to be given. Then a good goal from Callum Wilson after pairing up with St Maxim again, and then they did give themselves a little bit of a chance for Cornet's goal, but by that point it was. I think Leeds were still winning. I think just at that point and no more. But yeah, Burnley are down. Need a
There was a
massive
spell
rebound.
where Leeds were drawing and Burnley were coming back into the
Yeah.
game, and it was like, oh, this might happen because if it finished level, Burnley had a better goal difference because Leeds have conceded 79 goals this season, which is ridiculous.
And
so
that's what
bad.
and that's what we're going to talk about. Leeds United. The 2-1 win against Brentford.
Yeah.
This looked quite lively from what I saw.
Yeah, I've only seen the highlights, so it looked like it was decent. I could kind of see. So there was 3 TVs, so we had the 2 title matches going on, and Leeds was on the other one. So I saw like the odd thing coming through on there. I have always felt this season that Leeds would stay up, even though they've had so many like problems. They just fight and they battle and they scrap, and even with all the goals that they've shipped. Because of the way that they go at teams, I felt like they would pick up enough points. I think it's telling that although Burnley had more games where they got a result, Leeds won more. Yeah. And wins is what keeps you up. Yep, if you win games, you're going to stay up. If you draw a load of games, you're probably still going to go down.
And I mean, obviously, I wasn't very happy with how they treated Bielsa. It wasn't great.
I'd have left him there to the end of the season. I feel that Leeds have lost a lot of goodwill in removing Bielsa from the manager's job.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, I mean, everyone hated Leeds until Bielsa went there, and then he's turned them into a likable team, which is basically a miracle.
Yeah.
And now they've gone back to being like, no one. People will be hoping for them to struggle next season, I think.
I mean, they've signed. They've already announced, or at least there's rumors they're announcing to sign Christian Aronson from Red Bull Salzburg for $30 million. Don't know why people Americans using dollars. But yeah, I mean, I think we all enjoyed Bielsa's Leeds because of the attacking football. It was just attack. I think they overpaid for Daniel James, but Junior Firpo and Jack Harrison have been good signings, especially since Harrison scored the winning goal to keep them up in the Premier League. I think he'll have his name and he'll get a drink in every pub in the league for free. The American has actually kept a team up in the Premier League because Bob Bradley sure as heck didn't.
No, he did not.
So
yeah, he's done okay. Jesse Marsh, I feel like he's kind of taken a lot of the principles of Bielsa ball in the way that they're going at teams still, but just been a bit more sensible about how many players they're committing to the attacks.
I mean,
they've still lost a load of games with him there. It's not been a good run.
No, but they've done so. He gets. I think Bielsa gets sacked in February, and then Marsh is brought in almost right away. They had lost.
Yeah, they had him lined up, didn't they?
Yeah, they'd lost 4-2 to Man United on the 20th of Feb, 6-0 to Liverpool, 4-0 to Tottenham. Marsh comes
Was
in
that when he went? Was it after the Tottenham game?
after the Tottenham game. Marsh comes in, they lose 1-0 to Leicester, they lose 3-0 to Villa. They finally pick up a win against Norwich.
Yes, Norwich, yeah.
Then a late last minute win against Wolverhampton. They draw with Southampton. They win 3-0 against Watford, draw 0-0 against Palace.
I mean, the only really good result he's had is today against Brentford on the last day, because you kind of expect them to beat Wolves with 10 men. I mean, Brentford had 10 men as well. They've beaten 2 10-man teams and 2 teams that were doomed.
They had 9 men. Brentford had 9 men. Brentford had 9 men, which was even awful. It's his performances when you look into that April into May spell where he loses 4-0 against Man City. He puts up a fight against Arsenal, but loses 2-1, and then loses 3-0 to Chelsea. Leeds had a very not massively difficult run-in. But other teams were just not capitalizing on their mistakes, and Leeds are going to be in the Premier League next season.
I think they are lucky. I mean, they were unlucky with all the injuries that they've had this season. I mean, even towards the end of the season, they saw Liam Cooper, I think, was still out. Bamford hasn't played for ages. Calvin Phillips has missed at least half the season with injury, so it's been a struggle for them. But I think they are lucky that there were 3 worse teams in the league.
I mean,
Norwich didn't even put up a fight; they were just turned up to go down again.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to give a shout out as well to Brentford on their first season in the Premier League, winning their first game 2-0 against Arsenal, and never really looking back after that.
Yeah, it's been a combination of factors, but you've got really good recruitment there. They've brought players in who mean business. They've been able to up their level of shithousery to match Premier League standards. A lot of clubs that come up try and play fair, try and go 50-50 with everyone. Ivan Toney, absolute shithouse. He knew what he was doing every time he went out there onto the pitch. He's done a great job leading the line for Brentford. And just the way that they've approached games has been really solid.
Yeah, I mean, their results.
Really good team.
Their highlights.
And the crowd has helped as well. Having the crowd, they haven't been in the Premier League before, and you get that little bump, that little fresh bump from the crowd because they've never experienced it before. So they were really on fire at the start of the season, and it's given them a bit of a boost. And they've seen it over the line, and they've been decent.
Yeah, I think their highlights this season will be the 4-1 win against Chelsea, the 2-0 obviously against Arsenal, Christian Eriksen coming in and giving this team a bit more kind of life as well. And obviously it was great to see him obviously play football in general after everything that happened within the Euros. So what's your thoughts on them next season?
It's going to be hard to replicate what they've done this year. The second season in the Premier League is hard. I think everyone knows that. You look at what tends to happen to teams in their second season, even Leeds, although we've gone into a lot of detail about the injuries and stuff that they've had. But like Leeds, for their second season, they've really struggled. And they looked like they were set for quite some time last year. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard because teams will know what to expect. They'll know what they're going to be playing against. They'll have been properly scouted now by the other teams, and it's going to be tough. They're going to be in for a fight, I think, next year.
Yeah, Ivan Toney goes from 31 goals in the Championship to 12 goals in the Premier League. So again, it's that clearly, obviously, that clear difference that when you come in from the Championship, it is. If you're a striker, you're going to be.
It is a massive difference between the Championship and the Premier League, which is why we keep seeing teams come up and then go straight back down again.
Yeah,
exactly. Like with Norwich. Norwich are just yo-yoing back and forth at the moment, and Fulham are basically the other team. So they're just coming up, going down, coming up, going down.
Yeah, we love you, Tony Khan.
Fulham's
Right.
got like
So,
100 points this season, haven't they? The 100 and something points, and they're
uh,
still going to go straight back down.
yeah. As I say, Mitrovic is going to go from 42 goals to 6 goals. As he normally does. So that has, yeah. So I mean, the only other matches to kind of look at, you know, the battle for fourth was pretty much already decided, but
Yeah,
Tottenham
yeah.
decided. Arsenal fans had to rely on Norwich of all teams to do something. Um,
And what was the score, Eddie?
it was 5-0 Tottenham. Um, Tottenham put on quite a masterclass. Conte has
Way to go,
the
boys!
if you haven't seen the goal from Son, please go and watch it. It's an epic goal. Um, his signings, Kulevski and Betancourt, he's basically ripped off Juventus and then some, and I think it's been
Yeah.
great. This Tottenham side coming into next season, no more Dele Alli. They've really got, if they back Conte, which they really should,
Mm,
given the performance that he's got out of that team. Um, it's gonna be quite and again, we always talk about this with Tottenham, but this time it seems like they finally got their shit together.
yeah,
Um, and
it
and
really
that
does.
and it's like isn't ever since Conte's been in, they've had slight hiccups, the Burnley game, and the Brighton game, but they've
You can't
trounced
win them all, right?
Newcastle. They've trounced
You can't win them.
Newcastle. They've drawn with Liverpool. Um, they beat Man City. They've beat the champions and they've beat second place. They've slipped up, yep, like every team, but they're getting somewhere. And you know, whether they move, when Cameron Carter Vickers comes back, they'll probably ship him. I imagine. You know, Conte will probably, have a couple of players. They'll have mine. And Dombele is obviously probably going
Yeah,
to be on his way out. They
I'm
have.
sure Conte has a couple of players. I mean, he wasn't happy with the recruitment in January. He wanted more players to come
Yeah.
in January. I'm sure he's got half a dozen players that he's got a shopping list. And he went, I want these players. With these players, we can push.
Mm.
We can kick on. And English teams in the Champions League at the moment, England's been less hard hit football wise by COVID than the other leagues. So they're still like La Liga, Serie A, they're still a couple of years behind where these teams are at. So the financial clout is certainly there. There's no reason why Spurs can't go deep into the Champions League under Conte. The way that they're playing, it's not unconceivable.
No,
Inconceivable. That's the word.
inconceivable.
It's not
Um,
inconceivable.
you get Nuno out, and then you bring in
Oh, Nuno was
Betancourt.
a terrible, terrible signing. Terrible signing.
You
So
bring
Nuno
in
was probably a worse signing than Benitez at Everton, which is saying something.
uh,
Such a
uh
bad fit for the club.
yeah, you bring in Nuno. Sorry, no, you bring in Nuno. You don't like Nuno. Nuno goes. You bring in Conte's director of football from his Juventus days, and then you get Conte in, and then not only do you get Conte, you get two gems, as said in Kulievski and Betancourt. And we don't know. Who knows? I think it's gonna be again Spurs if they can do it right and they step by Conte. Going to be real interesting to see how the next how the next season goes. Um, yeah. So Arsenal won 5-1 against Everton, but no one gives a shit. So
Everton absolutely on the beach after they're
yeah,
probably hungover from Thursday. They left half the players out today, and it was like the team sheet goes up, and there's almost like a PS on the bottom saying, "Oh, sorry, Spurs." So yeah, they just turned up and were like, "Oh, we've got a game now."
yeah,
Absolutely capitulated today, and I don't think anybody cares.
yeah. I mean, again, it is what it is. You're going to be rebuilding. You're going to have to get your transfers in order for next season. Lampard's got some probably big Brexit signings he probably wants to make. You never know. But yeah. you're up. I think that's all we really need to focus on.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been really, really interesting being an Everton fan in the second half of this season, because the first half of the season was just miserable, and the second half has been right. We're going to fight. We're going to stick together. We're going to fight, and you end up with stuff like this. It's just everyone going nuts outside the ground before the games. You got them blue smoke grenades everywhere. It's been mad. It's been a mad couple of months, and the fans have kept them up.
Yeah.
Some of the players have turned up as well. Like Richarlison's worked his socks off. Anthony Gordon ran himself completely into the ground. Like the last couple of games, he could barely even run because he's worked so hard this season. Pickford's had a great season in goal. They've just worked really hard. And like Iwobi under Lampard has been he's been a revelation, really.
It's been, again, I think they've been, I said, I think it's been, you guys fit of company every Everton fans are yeah. So again, we will see how things moving into next season for Everton. Ten Hag came and saw Man United and saw ex-Man United player Wilfred Zaha score against Man United in a 1-0 win. He's going to have a tough job there.
Eric Ten Hag has now got the hardest job in professional football. Absolutely the hardest. Those players do not give a shit. They do not care.
I think the idea of it's going to be it's going to be very interesting. I mean, Pogba's already apparently on his way back to Juventus. De Gea is talking about that he hopes that Ten Hag brings in good characters into the team. I saw Paul Merson was complaining that he might bring in. There's rumors that Ten Hag might bring back like Sebastian Haller and players he's managed in Ajax, and I was just like,
but yeah, he obviously just wants players you can trust. But you look at if it was possible to do this, if I was Eric Ten Hag, I would clear out literally everybody, complete clean slate, get rid of everyone, because that Man United squad is rotten to the core. It will help that Pogba's going, because Pogba, I don't want to sound like Graham Souness here, but Pogba turns up like one game in 6 and does something world class, and you go, oh yeah, he is good. And then these 5 games, he's a passenger. He's a luxury player, and you can't have multiple luxury players in your team, because Bruno's a luxury player, Ronaldo's a luxury player, Sancho's a luxury player. There's loads of them. They seriously need to just get rid of everybody. That's my opinion. Just clear everybody out, get rid of a lot of them.
Yeah, they need to bring in a ton of players, and people are completely. I said they need to, if they're bringing in players, they need to bring in players who are not luxury players, because it will just end the same. You're completely right. And there are bargains. There's not like, people were complaining it's going to be money. Like, Ten Hag may need to bring in 10 players. We were talking about before the show, the boy who AC Milan signed to replace Donnarumma as the goalie. I think he went for 13 million or something like that euros. He's an excellent goalkeeper. I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't need a goalkeeper at the moment, but if they branch out and look beyond the leagues that they normally look into, and they have good scouts, then this could be a complete different. Again, it's a very interesting kind of, as I said, Man United can be an interesting project to watch, because they need to give this manager enough time, and it's getting a case of are they going to give them enough time? Are they going to let them do their own thing? Like, he even had a battle to try and get Steve McLaren in as an assistant. So It really just depends on, and again, obviously, people have been leaving their kind of structure even out with the football side of things. So, but at least at least they've got Europa League football. Given the fact that Brighton beat West Ham, which was a game. Again, sorry, we didn't watch it. It really didn't have much meaning, and neither as a Man United fans. And I think that's really about it. In terms of other leagues, AC Milan have won the Scudetto. Bromley defeated Wrexham 1-0 for the FA Trophy. Up the Bromley boys, as Mike Kilby says in the chat. Wrexham and TikTok defeated by the goodness of Bromley.
Evil of TikTok.
Yeah, the evil of TikTok.
Vanquished.
Yeah. But yeah, the season's over. We still got the one game left, Champions League.
So the potential Champions League chat won't happen because I'm at work, so I'm not even going to see the game.
Yeah, so we may as well just talk about what we think is going to happen now. I think Liverpool are probably going to win, but it just depends.
I kind of think Liverpool are too good for Real Madrid, but then I thought Chelsea were too good for them, and PSG and Man City, and they've knocked all them out. So here's to a 97th minute Benzema winner.
Oh God, Philip. We'll see. We will see. We will be back. We're going to take a break, and obviously we're going to, the season is over. We're going to regroup, figure out some stuff, trying to figure out what we're going to do for the preseason and stuff. May cover some stuff. Arn is away on special assignment to Sweden quite soon.
Oh yes.
So you'll probably hear about that on Groundhoppers with Mike Kilby when he comes back. Probably talking about the grounds, talk about stuff like that. If you haven't done so already, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. This has been a good, fun kind of year. Are we at a year yet, Art? Have we still got a little bit of time left on being a year old as a podcast?
I think I've probably done more than a year. To be honest, it's put me on the spot now. I actually don't know when we started doing it.
How could you? How could you not remember? So our first one was in.
Open.
Yes, so our first one was a year ago. Genesis was a year ago, April the 5th. So we've passed the year now, and we're still going strong. So, thank you very much for watching. We will let you know by our Twitter. Again, if you haven't done so, like and subscribe at the bottom. And yeah, we will see you soon. Anything else you got to say, Aaron, before I finish the show?
No, we'll call that a day. And it's been a fun season. It's been a good time. I kind of wish we'd been able to record more, but we've had various issues over the course of the season, so it's just not happening.
Oh yeah, and Mbappe made a bunch of Real Madrid people and the Spanish football pundits cry. So
good lad, take that money, Kylian. Steal it, and buy your own club and run it however the hell you want.
Fire the coach and everything. Right, take care. Bye bye.